Welcome to Michigan Sports Media Network. Today you're with Jay Sweet, our host, and we have James Gullett, our Red Wings lead reporter, and Brad Thompson, our Tigers lead reporter, with us today. We will start off with Brad, as he will tell us about what's going on with the Tigers.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Detroit Sports World. Appreciate it. Very happy to be with us too. The launching of the Michigan Sports Media Network. So let's jump into the Tigers and let's just get into the dark cloud hanging over this team right now, and that would be the fact that 2/3 of the outfield right now are out with what I perceive, quite frankly, of significant arm injuries. Granted, it is not a torn rotator cuff on Matt Vierling, but it is a rotator cuff muscle, which whenever you hear the dreaded word rotator cuff, UCL, labrum, you really kind of pucker a little bit. And also with Parker Meadows, they're talking that he's got a nerve issue in his arm. The Angels doctor was talking today, according to Evan Petzold. It's kind of confusing what Evan was writing and tweeting, but I think to decipher it, he's talking about the muscle. I'm sorry, the nerve be able to bounce back. When you hear nerve in an arm, the first thing usually people do is they go, "Oh no, UCL." So right now, I think the Tigers are kind of playing it the right way. They're kind of going close to the vest right now. They really don't want to put anything out there that's going to make people really get nervous, but you really don't feel easy about about the arm issues for the two of them. Now, people would probably want to ask what's going to be the plan, and I wish I knew, and I think the Tigers wish they knew right now. The good news is it's early. You can do almost what we like to call a gong show out there. And what I've been seeing in center field a little bit is I've been seeing a mix of Ryan Kreidler and I've been seeing a mix of Wenceel Perez. Let me say this, Parker Meadows, in my opinion, and I think the stats will show it, and from last year will show it as well. He is hands down one of the top 5 defensive center fielders in the league. I've seen a guy go from the left center field gap to the right center field gap in the warning track and make a catch and not make it look too hard. So we are talking about maybe a 0.5 to a 1 point run differential when he is not in that lineup in center field. Perez is used to being in the outfield. However, that is in right field. He's not exactly gold glove material. And we all know how cavernous Comerica Park can be. They've got Ryan Kreidler out there right now. And as far as I know, Ryan Kreidler played a little bit of center field at UCLA, was drafted as a shortstop. I really think that this is going to be a reach. He's not a good hitter. He's just not a good hitter. When it is a transformation, it's not that hard when you go from shortstop to center field, but it's not exactly like, boom, it's going to hit overnight. He's going to have to get some working out there. So again, right now, I think they're looking to see what they've got with the options out there. I think those two, they're really going to check that out. With right field, same thing. Wenceel Perez did play a good portion of right field last year. We've got to remember that Vierling played all over the outfield, played some third base. Then when Torkelson basically had his down spot, he also played some first base. So Perez does have the reps out there, but he doesn't have a considerable amount. Vierling out in right field as a fixture would have been very, very good for this outfield, and it still can be. Don't get me wrong, but he and Parker Meadows in Comerica are going to take away a lot of hits. So let's just hope for the best there. Regarding third base, Jace Young's having a good spring so far. He really is. He's going to be that, he's a left-handed hitter, which means he would predominantly he would probably be playing with the majority of a lot of right-handed hitters in there. But it's early. It's early. He did okay down the stretch. He was serviceable. He gave the Tigers a spark. I think we all kind of, with the magic that the Tigers caught, I think we're all a little caught up in the Youngs and in the Sweeneys and the Malloys and things like that. They caught lightning in a bottle, and the kids really pushed them across that finish line. So that's a small sample size, albeit it was clutch, and there was a lot of nervous moments in there, and they stepped up. But Now are they going to be able to do over a 162 game season? So with Young in there, it's good that he's playing well. Andy Ibanez, what I would think right now would be moving over there to platoon as a right-handed hitter. Ibanez, again, he's a small sample size guy though. He works in the lineup when the lineup dictates he should be in there. So it's going to be tough. They've got How You Lee in there right now. He's been 0 for 10 in his last 10 plate appearances. So I think he's really going to have to go down to AAA and get some of the at bats there. So I do see them entering the season with Young and perhaps Ibanez, or they could honestly take a look and sign a guy like a Whit Merrifield. I think I said before he's a Tiger killer, former All-Star. But when you hear former All-Star, it doesn't mean that he's going to be playing at All-Star form now. He would almost be like a Gio Urshela. His name's actually been battered around too, but that's really what you're looking at there. You are not going to get vintage Whit Merrifield. But Merrifield could also help out with the DH position, and we can address that down the road here in the podcast a little bit when we get to my favorite Tiger. I'm being sarcastic, and Spencer Torkelson. So that's the third base situation right there. Interesting now is what starting pitcher is going to be in the relief roles. Again, it's going to be a gong show this spring. I think right now we know that Tarek Skubal is the unquestioned ace of this pitching staff. Jack Flaherty, terrific signing, just terrific, and to be able to get Flaherty back after getting Theron Sweeney and Theron Lorenzo. And he hit a ball that I think landed in Plant City, Florida, out of Lakeland the other day. This guy is going to be a guy that we're going to talk about for a long time. But anyways, that get off on a tangent. Flaherty, just solid. He's got the World Series experience. He's the veteran. He's just going to, him and Scooble are really going to have a good effect on this pitching staff. And they're going to have a good effect on Jackson Jobe. I see Jobe is coming in. I think he's going to get that third spot. It's going to be, here you go, big guy. You got all the tools. You're the number one pitching prospect in America in the major leagues. Let's see what you got. He was touching triple digits, which is good for the first March 2nd. Hitting triple digits is just incredible. His spin rate on his curveball was over 3,100 yesterday. So, yeah, he did get touched up for a homer. It's spring training. Guys are working on stuff, but what I'm looking at is his stuff. And the stuff that I saw yesterday, just if we got Jackson Jobe in there at our 3 and he's pitching like he can, that is a legitimate third starter, and he should be the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year. Then we get to 4 and 5, and Alex Cobb was supposed to be the guy, and he was a free agent signing, and he is just perennial injured. The hip injury has flared back up. He's got to have 2. He's already had 2 injections. I don't know. I think anything we get out of Alex Cobb at this point in his career is just going to be gravy. I am not counting on him to be an integral part of this pitching staff. Which says, okay, we've got 3 spots. What are we looking at for 4 and 5? And when you really look at it, you're not exactly going to be thrilled. You got Kaiser Montero, you've got Casey Mize, you've got Matt Manning, you've got Kenter Montero, and you've got a guy, Brendan Gunther. Brandon Herder. Brendan Herder. Apologize for that. Mize, we've seen what he can do. He's had a good spring so far in his defense. He's working on a sweeping slider, which he's had some success with. But I think we've had a good look at Casey Mize, and they did not pick his option up. That is something that we definitely need to keep an eye on there. I think he's going to get a shot. I think we're going to see that it's going to be him and Maeda, because I think one is going to make the squad either as the relief pitcher or in the rotation. I think the other one's going to be let go. You've got Matt Manning. Throw him in that mix with Maeda and Mize too. It's hard when you're a starting pitcher to be able to go to the bullpen when you've been a starting pitcher your whole career. It is not as easy as people think. You are pitching in certain situations where you are pitching short term and you are in there for a specific reason. So the people that think out there, with respect to them, it's not easy. So we are going to really be at a crossroads here. Right now with Montero, I think he is going to win one of the starting rotation spots. He's thrown well. Again, it's very early, but I think he's going to win one. They went with the bullpen days last year. They called it, pitching with chaos or pitching chaos. I really would not want to see them do that till after the All-Star break. You're going to tire these guys out. That's when they really started doing it. That's when they caught lightning in a bottle, and that was a big reason. And I'm starting to see that trend happen more and more. It first started with what we call openers, where you put a guy in a reliever in as an opener, and it was the reverse of being a closer, if that makes any sense. But I think AJ does like his matchups. He's better than anybody in baseball with pitching matchups. But I think he'd really like to have a 5-man rotation. If it has to go to 4, then I think he can go with that bullpen day. I just don't think he wants to start it right out of the gate. So if you put me on the spot, I'd say that Montero's going to win that spot. I think they're going to go with the bullpen day on that 5th starter. Right now, I think Manning and Mayan are the odd men out. I really do. Back to relievers here. Tyler Owen. This guy's making a hard case for people not to have him on this pitching staff in a relief role. He's he's sitting at 97 right now. He has touched triple digits. The way he hides the ball, he's got the funky motion. He hides that ball in his release before his release right in the back of his knee. It is really tough to pick up out of there, and his fastball's moving. His curveball is not crisp yet. However, again, early he can get that curveball crisp. I think he's going to be a part of this pitching of the bullpen, and I really think at some point he's going to be relied upon. I'm really starting to lose a little confidence, and he was not great down the stretch about Jason Foley. Got touched up again in his second outing yesterday. I hope it works out for him. The guy was really a big part. But now, the way he ended this year, where basically he did lose his closer role. Bill Brisky came in that role right at the end of the season and in the playoffs. So I think they could be looking at Brisky to do that again with Will Vest being the setup man. Tommy Conley, best changeup in baseball, just my opinion. I think he's going to be absolutely outstanding in that department. And then we've got, again, Tyler Holton, which is easily a top 5 reliever in this game. He could be a starter, but I don't think there's any way they're going to take him out of the bullpen there. He is just way too valuable. Moving on, Spencer Torkelson. First pick overall. Here's an interesting thing that I was reading the other day. He was the first pick that was not drafted first overall pick that was not drafted out of high school. All right, since 1972, a guy by the name of Dave Roberts by the Texas Rangers. Not Dave Roberts, the Dodgers manager. We're talking 1972. Okay, he went to Arizona State, played in a COVID year there, had 6 home runs in a COVID year. I cannot even put that in terms. It's okay. You played 20 games and nobody in the stands. Had a great second season. But let's face it, even though he's played at Arizona State in a very, very, very tough conference in the Pac-10, you're facing guys that are already starting work at they're already working in insurance firms now, or they're working in financial institutions. These guys are not even making the minor leagues. They're 4-year guys. They're in the real world now. So he refuses to make adjustments at the plate. He just refuses to. His bat speed is subpar. All right, he cannot hit the fastball. If you get a guy going 96 or above on this guy with movement, he's lost. He's hitting under 200. What are we doing here? This guy was a guy that was drafted number 1 when you could have had Heston Yurstad, who's going to be a dude for the Baltimore Orioles, and a guy by the name of Garrett Crochet that is just arguably the best left-handed pitcher in baseball right now. He was a hot commodity. White Sox did trade him. White Sox needed as much help as they could get. But I look at Crochet and I say, man, would he look good? And the Tigers just, I don't know. Thanks, Alavila. Casey Mize, number 1 overall pick, and now Torkelson. Fellas, that sets you back. That would be like the Lions just hitting busts. Here's the equivalent. It's the Lions with those two when the Lions drafted 3 wide receivers in a row. Okay, that's how far you can get set back. So I give Scott Harris just a world of credit with what he's done so far, because he's had a lot of challenges in front of him. I think he's came through. But Torkelson, no, send him down to AAA. Fine, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Okay, he will not hit. He will not hit to the opposite field. He is not going to hit for average at all. And I just don't see him hitting 25 homers or more. He's a right-handed player. He can only play first base. He's lost that. Cole Keith has moved over because we signed Gleyber Torres. Keith is basically taking the first base spot, and that's just the way it's going to be. So Torkelson, you've got basically a power hitting, I guess, right-handed DH. And I think we all know that Kerry Carpenter is going to be predominantly the DH in this lineup. He just is. So I don't see a spot for Torkelson. I see him going down to AAA, or maybe the Tigers making a trade, perhaps to the Pirates, who could use a first baseman right now. The Pirates want to be silly enough to even trade us a bag of balls for him. Take it. I think we can feel through my words hear through my words how I feel about Torkelson. He is not a major. He is a 4A player. Not good enough for the pros. Little bit better than AAA. That doesn't get it done. So, lastly, what I think right now is a guy that I'm really rooting for, Jahmai Jones. I think I said before that his dad played Andre Jones, his linebacker for Lions in '92. And his brother, T.J. Jones, was a receiver for 3 years for the Lions just recently. Detroit guy had a good average against lefties, albeit a small sample size, 7 for 22 with the Yankees last year. And he could be a guy that gives you depth in the outfield. They're going to look at him in center field. They're going to look him in right field. So it's going to come down to these last final spots. You've got Perez, who I think is sewn a position up with the circumstances. Justin Henry, Malloy, I think, is sewn a spot up. Ibanez, too. So it could be 2-3 guys for one spot. So that's my Tiger notes and Tigers news for now. So I'll pass it back to you guys.
Well, thanks, Brad. We appreciate the insightful information on the Tigers. I know a lot of Tigers fans are going to be going crazy over some of that.